Hello, hello, and welcome. It's wonderful to be here with you today. I am just thrilled to have this opportunity to connect in with you and to help update you on the energy that's currently going on so that I can support you, so that I can just 100% support you in really stepping forward and being that amazing, authentic leader that you are. So I just want to give it a minute here. I know I'm a couple minutes late, just getting the technology happening here, but I'm super, super excited to be with you. So you can go ahead and just say hello, throw me a heart, go ahead and put your name or where you're tuning in from in the chat there. And as we'll just wait here just for a moment and we'll get going. And, while people are hopping on, let me just tell you a little bit about why we're here today and a little bit about me. So I am Prema Gurreri. I'm a Vedic astrologer. I'm a soul purpose mentor. And I really, I envision a world where everyone is empowered to live according to their soul blueprint, which is on purpose, in a way that's aligned with the best of yourselves and with what true wealth is actually for you, which is so much more than money. It's really your deep level of fulfillment. So, I'm so passionate about helping entrepreneurs and visionaries and change agents and light workers as well, to lead with your unique, what I call your divine gifts and talents, so that you can fully align with your purpose and your mission and, really to create wealth for yourselves and for the world simply by doing what you love. Like totally being 100% of who you are, which really is authenticity, and doing what you love. And essentially, it really boils down to inspiring and empowering you to live from the inside out. There's so much going on the outside. And if we let ourselves be influenced by everything that's coming at us, it really bounces us around in so many different directions. When we can really live from the inside out, truly live from the inside out, we can take our mission, we can take our movement out into the world in the way that we're meant to, in the way that completely and totally inspires us personally. And if you're inspired, then you're also going to be inspiring the world as well. So let me just tell you what we're doing here today. Our focus today really is how to authentically lead during challenging times, even if you're going through deep shifts yourself. So look, with the energy that we have going on currently, the energy we have going on now is, we are going through so many shifts. We had the big solar eclipse. Before that, we had a lunar eclipse. We've had Mercury in retrograde. We have had several planets hitting the eclipse point, which all boils down to a lot of change. And, change really is about growth. But it's not always easy. It's not always easy to be in that place of change. And with so many planets still shifting, it can be really challenging to clearly see your path. Like, what's your path, or what is changing for you? Because I guarantee you, your path is changing currently. And especially with the last eclipse we had, we also have beautiful things happening. Jupiter is in Vedic astrology, and I'm speaking about Vedic astrology with the sidereal aspect to the zodiac, is moving into Libra, just literally as we speak. The nodes of the moon are changing into Cancer and into Capricorn, literally as we speak. So, and there's other changes, but what this shifting floor does is it really opens up ourselves, our souls, our lives, our businesses, our relationships for growth. So that means it's also opening you up to let go of things that are no longer working for you, for you to release anything that is blocking you in your way in order to make the space for what's new. But one of the big challenges is, like, how do you even see when it's time to shift directions? how can you even tell, which is your direction? And especially when you are going through those deep shifts yourself, and you're leading your own movement in the world. So, have you ever experienced this, or you experience this now, where you're starting to question, or you have been questioning what it is, what your movement even is, or what your purpose is, or where you're going, or how do I do it when I am just going through this internal stuff that feels really big to me? So that's what I want to share with you today. And I know for me, this has happened to me several times. I'm going through my own shifts now, and I certainly was going through a really big shift back when I had my yoga and healing arts center, a 6-figure business where I wasn't taking much money home, working really, really hard, really feeling like I was on purpose, but I wasn't 100% on purpose because things were falling out. And, I was going through a very, like one of these big shifts was happening, and I was going through a soul cycle of Saturn, and Saturn's just the taskmaster and really wants you to carry your responsibilities, but more so wants you to put down what's not yours to be responsible for. I was carrying too many people's energies, which really took me to my knees. And, I had to let everything go. And just giving you just the short version, I was in that dark night of the soul, and everywhere I turned and everything I tried, everything kept pointing me back to just open your palms, surrender it all, and trust in. So that's exactly what I did. And I'm grateful for that time, because what that did was, hi there, so glad you're here. What that did was actually opened me up to the work that I'm so passionate about now. It's when your Sacred Wealth Code came through. It's when I aligned with my purpose and my prosperity like I had never before. And the work that I'm doing now and keeps evolving into doing, and even with my book, Your Sacred Wealth Code, Unlock Your Soul Blueprint for Purpose and Prosperity, all that dropped in at that time because I was taken to my knees and I started to lead in a much different way. So, has this ever happened to you? Do you feel like you are in that really deep shift right now, or have you gone through one of those? If so, go ahead and throw up a like or a heart, or go ahead and type in the chat and type in, like, what is it that you're even experiencing now? What's the shift you feel like you're going through? And how do you even know what the shift is? What are you being challenged with? What's your new awarenesses that are coming forward? These things that are arising in you, both the magnificent, like there's so much goodness opening up for me right now. Connections with bringing my work out into the world in bigger and better ways than I could have even imagined. Also opportunities, again, that I couldn't, even in my visioning, I couldn't vision. But there's also deep things shifting and changing where I'm really being called to let go yet of another veneer of who I think I need to be, as opposed to just showing up here squeaky clean as I am, in any moment. I was really told with all these shifts, and my tuning in was to stay really quiet within myself, make sure that I had retreat and meditation time during this, all this change. And there's a part of me where I've really wanted to move forward with some things in my business, but it was hard to sit quiet. But I have been sitting quiet, and now it's like the fog is lifting, and I see exactly what I need to be doing and where I need to be going like I hadn't ever before. So I am grateful for these shifts. So what shifts are you going through during this time? So Tanya's saying that accepting where I am ahead of where I used to be. And that's great that, the more you can accept where you are now, and even notice, even if you're a half a step ahead of where you used to be, it's just really reassuring to recognize your path. And one of the useful things about looking back and looking at the past is to see, how far you've come. Where are you now? Or are you repeating some pattern that you have that you have no business repeating, and it's really time to let go. So today I want to talk to you about, interact with you about, answer your questions. And if you have questions, type them in. Really, what is authentic leadership? And again, how do you maintain that leadership when you're going through these deep shifts? So authentic leadership is you showing up as you are and leading with what your movement is. And are you aware of what your movement is? There is a movement that you're here to create. Even if you are not saying, okay, I'm a leader, that we're all leaders. And really, the definition that I love for leadership is being a true leader is, number one, leading yourself and being aligned with your purpose and leading your purpose forward in the world, and leading or teaching or supporting others to lead themselves. And sometimes that's the one little nugget or tip you give somebody. And sometimes that's the loving embrace you give them in a moment, the reassurance, or sometimes it's real to absolute, on the ground direction. So this authentic leadership in leading, your movement, what are you here to lead? So I'd love for you to type that in. What are you here to lead? And if you don't know, type that into I'm not sure, or that's opening up, or that's evolving, or that is changing. What are you actually here to lead? Leadership is all about integrity, honesty, and accountability. And, it's really about trust. I would say the underlying component to leadership is really about trust. And that's why authenticity is so important. So if you're going through a really challenging time, for instance, say when I was, before I was losing my yoga center, I was losing my marriage. And that was a really vulnerable time. And there was a while I kept that in. I didn't want people to know I'm failing in my relationship because, I had a business and I was a leader in my community. Well, that wasn't working very well. And I let go of that pattern, that BS, because that was totally holding me back. And when I started to let people in and just say, hey, yeah, I am going through this deep shift in my marriage, in my, change in my life, it really allowed people to, again, trust me even more because I was still showing up, doing my thing. And when we do that, we give other people permission to go through their challenges as well and still show up instead of going through your challenge and hiding. Authentic leadership isn't about hiding. And I'm not saying that you don't ever need to pull back, take retreat time. There's things that are private. Absolutely. I have 8th house planets. I am a super private person. But there's a real difference between being private and hiding. And true leadership is that vulnerability, when you can bring your vulnerability forward. And actually, let's just be clear. I'll do another whole Facebook Live training on vulnerability. But let's be clear about what vulnerability actually is. Vulnerability is being open. And when we're open, and I mean our hearts are open. We're bearing our souls when our hearts are open. And when we are completely open, or as open as we can be, because it's not easy to be open, it's strength. You are so strong. It takes so much strength to be open. It takes a lot of strength to be vulnerable. And, because we don't know what's going to happen when we're open and when we're vulnerable. And when we lead from that place of vulnerability and that brings us into our authenticity. So don't think that leadership, I just want to dispel that myth that leadership is all about always being strong, always knowing what to do. It's not. It is still leading your mission and your movement. Like I said, underneath everything that I do, I am here to empower you to live from the inside out. And no matter what I'm going through, there's still a way that I can do that. So with what your movement and what your mission is, there is a way, even if you're really challenged with a shift, that you can actually still help guide and lead others. So again, I just want to check here in the comments and look about if you haven't, or if you've just joined us, hello and welcome again. And also, anybody's watching this on the replay, I want to welcome you, even though I'm not here live. I'm here live with you and always in spirit, and I will be answering your questions and right in with this thread here. So make sure that you connect and comment. But if you haven't already, what's your movement? Or what are you leading in the world? And also, if you don't know, type that in. You don't know, because that's being vulnerable. Sometimes we don't know. And if whatever you are, your authenticity and your vulnerable, you're being vulnerable, your vulnerability, I can talk, gives permission for other people to not always have to be right, to not always have to know, to not always have to be on. But here's the key underlying piece, is authentic leadership is about showing up, is about showing up. And so anyway, I'm going to pause for just a moment, and I want to answer a question that's in the thread. If you have any questions, keep posting them. Thanks for the hearts. Keep posting them in the thread. And the question that I want to answer is, how does one teach without feeling like a fraud? Boy, thank you so much. This is just a really great one, and it's a really big one that I see people have, or the imposter syndrome. How does one teach without feeling like a fraud? And in fact, I was just working with a client 2 days ago around this. She was afraid to bring her new work forward. She's been known as in the health industry and working around health, but she has got a deep passion for spirituality, and she's getting her intuitive hits, and her downloads are coming through. And she wants to start teaching about that. But what she was concerned about was like, well, how do I do that? And not feel like, a fraud, or have people judge me because I don't have any credentials. Here's what you do. How do you do it without feeling like a fraud? Is you're honest. And you stand in your gifts. Your gifts are divinely given. And that's what inspired me to actually write your Sacred Wealth Code, Unlock Your Soul Blueprint for Purpose and Prosperity. I will drop a link where you can grab a free chapter into the chat in just a few minutes here. When you know your divine gifts, which is what your Sacred Wealth Code gives you, and you stand in those gifts, and they're yours. You don't need a degree for them. They're encoded in your soul blueprint. They live at the intersection of purpose and prosperity. When you stand in your gifts, when you use and animate your gifts, like right now, I'm in my gifts as being a messenger. I'm in my gifts as being a leader, and also as a connector. And I'm using the gifts that those amazing archetypes give me. So when you use your gifts, you're undeniable. You're trustable, because you're not trying to be something other than you're not. So a fraud, let's remember what a fraud is. That is trying to be something other than you're not, or it's faking it. Well, if you actually have that gift and it's coming through you, you're not faking it. You don't need to have the outer world's PhD stamp of approval to say that you are, that you can and that you are. You don't actually need that at all. What you actually need is the confidence, and you may need the clarity on what your gifts are, absolutely. And you need the confidence to step in, to animate, and to use your divine gifts. When you're in your gifts, again, you are authentic. Being in your gifts, though, also means there's also the shadow side that also can pull us. And that's what some people are feeling right now with the shift, going back to the shift that we're in. The shadow side can rear its head, especially when you're just about to dispel it. Sometimes that's the time it really rears its head the strongest, is just when you're kind of onto the shadow. So when you're in the shadow, you can feel like a fraud, because it's like your gifts are standing over here on the right, but you're not standing over in that circle. You're standing out of it. So you're out of integrity with your your divinity, basically. Now, I believe everybody's welcome at the party, and we need to welcome in our shadow side as well. And that way we love it. We are compassionate with it, and we can grow those parts of us up into our brilliance, because it's no fault of our own that we're on, in our shadow. But if you are in your shadow, you can feel like you're a fraud. You absolutely can feel like you're a fraud. So getting into your gifts, and being honest. So sometimes that might be, wow, I have this deep gift of intuition, and I got to tell you, I don't have a PhD for it. I don't have a PhD for mine. I was born with one. It's one of my gifts. But I feel compelled to share with you, and I can see how I can help you connect with your intuition. So that would be one way of being just an example of absolutely being honest. So honesty, excuse me, makes you trustworthy. Honesty makes you trustworthy. Vulnerability makes you trustworthy. Authenticity is you being 100% of you, and that makes you trustworthy. So again, you have any questions, put them in the chat. I am going to continue to answer your questions. Thanks for that awesome question there. So I want to weave back here to why leadership is so challenged right now. So without totally geeking out on you, we have all these shifts that have happened in Vedic astrology in the constellation of Leo. This is where the eclipses happen, the retrograde. Mars is right now. We have 4 planets there right now. We've had planets that hit the eclipse point, and in a particular lunar mansion called Magha. And what, this constellation, and especially even this lunar mansion, is all about leadership. It's the king. It's the leader. It's the queen. It is even the celebrity. This is leadership. And because we've had some shadow energy come up around leadership, and we are, we've been seeing inauthentic leadership for, I want to say, throughout time. Okay. So you have to be careful of the leaders that you follow. And you might be seeing leadership like out, and for instance, in the US where I live, in our politics, and not feel congruent with that. Well, at some level, all of this is an outer expression of what's going on the inside. But these aspects that we're under right now, and have been for the last month or so, and we're just coming out of, with the light that's coming in from the Jupiter transit and the nodes of the moon changing, is all about bringing up truth to the surface. Bringing up truth to the surface. So that also means for you, what's shifting, what's the, coming out of the shadow is part of stepping into truth. So, and part of the reason that we've are being led in some of the ways that we are through fear. And you really have to watch out for leadership that is driving you through fear. And you never want to do that. It's one thing to acknowledge where somebody's at, have compassion, understand what their pain is, but it is irresponsible to lead from fear, because that is control and manipulation. And that's a lot of what we see, of course, in leadership. And that's why more than ever, I don't care what your leadership is, it is so important for you to lead what you're here to lead, because you are, squeaky clean. You may be in your shadow, but you have that authenticity inside of you. So if you can reflect and see, wow, that's not what I want to see for leadership, that means there's a part of you that's been activated that now needs to step forward and not look for the leadership to change. The way it's going to change is by you stepping in and leading your movement now. So I want to walk you through just a really quick exercise before we wrap up today. I am going to answer any other questions you have. So if you do have any questions, type them in the chat. If what I'm saying is resonating for you, throw me some hearts. Do you feel this way? Does this make sense for you? Do you find yourself in this position with, with these, some of, in this deep shift, or recognizing that we need a new model for leadership? And stepping into your purpose is the first step towards leadership, no matter what. You being on purpose means that you are leading something in the world in a big way. So great. I'm seeing some hearts there. Thank you. Thank you, Patsy. Great to see you here. And again, if you have any questions, type them in there. So I want to get you connected with what you're here to lead. There's purpose, and I teach in my Sacred Wealth Circle and my Business Academy and my VIP program, purpose, mission, movement. Purpose, mission, movement. That's how we, and then we get to our message, but that's how we drop into the core of what we're here to lead. And it does start with purpose, and our gifts are always connected to our purpose. When you are using your gifts, and that's why, your Sacred Wealth Code is so useful. If you are using your gifts, you are on purpose. You are on the path of your purpose, even if you haven't typed it out in some definitive form. So gifts lead to purpose. Purpose leads to mission. Mission leads to your movement in the world. So I want to help you to connect in with what you're here to lead right now. So close your eyes, put your hand on your heart, take a deep, full breath. We want to merge the mind and the heart. If you're ever around me, we will always do this, because it is just the easiest way to get to the heart of the matter, get to the truth. So take a couple of deep breaths through your heart. Relax your jaw and your shoulders. And you can invite your mind down to your heart. You can simply just pop it on a slide and send it right down to your heart. You can take a couple of deep breaths through your heart. We're just going to do the quick version today. I have a whole meditation on this. Inside out. We're working inside out right now. As I told you, this is what I'm here to inspire you the most with, to live from the inside out, because the truth is on the inside. And then you want to bring that out. Remember, that makes you trustable. So as you're tuned into your heart, and take a deep breath into your heart, let's let this question drop into your heart, like I'm throwing a pebble into the pond of your heart. What am I here to lead? What am I here to lead? What's the movement I'm here to lead? And just open up to whatever comes up for you. What am I here to lead? No matter how big or small that seems, we all are leaders in our own way. And then the next question is, what's one inspired action that I could take today to lead more authentically? Do I need to share my story? Do I need to take that action that I've been wanting to take for a long time and haven't done it? What's one inspired action that I could take today to more authentically lead? So whatever's come up for you, go ahead and type that in the chat. That would allow you to share and be authentic and be vulnerable. And again, if you have any questions, type those in as well. So what if you didn't have something come up? What's one inspired action to more authentically lead? Well, what I would encourage you to do is, if you didn't get something that came up, I'm going to throw a couple of things at you to help you, okay? And that would be just to define what one of your gifts are, like one of your gifts. What's one of your, what I'm going to call your divine gifts, something that you have a unique brilliance for. It's one of your talents, your gifts, whether you're using it or not. It could be anything from problem solving to your creative, how you're creative. It may be that your intuitive gifts, or that you're empathetic, or you're an incredibly compassionate person. Any gift that you have. And what's one way you can use that gift today? So that's another way in. If you didn't get something that came up, what's one way that you can use that gift today? Because if you're using your gift, any of your gifts, and you have a lot of gifts, if you're using your gifts, then you will be on your purposeful path, And you will be leading, you will be absolutely leading someone, something on the planet. Everyone needs to chip in and start to step into our brilliance now. And if you find yourself complaining about the leadership that is happening, then you need to step in even more so that you don't even have time to complain. You're being part of the change. If you are interested in understanding what more of your gifts are, then, I do Sacred Wealth Code readings. I'm going to just drop in the chat here how to take my free quiz so you can actually get one of your Sacred Wealth Code Archetypes, and you'll get some free training with that. And, if you're interested in really diving in and understanding, even more, then you might want to go ahead and grab my book and Your Sacred Wealth Code, and unlock your soul purpose, unlock your soul blueprint for purpose and prosperity. I put 2 free links in the chat there for you. So both of those are the just the easy way to tap in and get more of your gifts. And then if you want to, you want more with me, PM me. If what I'm talking to you about resonates for you, if you want more help with really stepping into your leadership, bringing your movement, bringing your work out into the world, then PM me, and I can share with you how I can help you this next year to really do that in a meaningful way. So as we wrap up here, if you have any questions, again, I am totally here for questions. If this has resonated for you, go ahead and throw a couple hearts. If this has resonated for you and it'll help others, share this. We all need to be doing that as far as sharing the brilliance that, opens up our hearts, that lights us up and supports us. Again, that's the feminine way of connecting and supporting. So sharing this is super, super helpful because you can help people that way. So I want to make sure you're walking away with one inspired action you're going to take. And if you notice yourself judging or complaining what's going on out there in the world today around leadership, what I want to invite you to do is, again, how can I step into one of my gifts and actually use that gift today? It can be something really small. It could be something that feels magnanimous, even if it's scary. And if you're going through one of those deep shifts right now, and you haven't quite landed on your feet, or you don't know which way, you need to turn, then absolutely, grab one of my free gifts or PM me about how I can really help you to navigate this change, because we're all going through a change right now. Okay, so much love to you. Just a blessing to be here with you. Much love. I'm going to be here every Wednesday at this time, so you can depend on that and put that on your calendar. And I guarantee you I'll be popping into just spontaneously as well. I am committed to be, this is one of my commitments that's come through this shift, is I need to be standing out more, giving more, and showing up more live. So I'll be doing that for you. Before I leave, I'm just going to check in with Tamara here. She's got unconditional love, energy, personal action, focus on being ultimately loving in my microcosm. Yes, day-to-day life, moment to moment, even when personally frustrated or annoyed. You are so welcome, my love. Hey, if all of us are in integrity and leading in our own sphere right here, right now, then the world is going to be such a better place. Such a better place if we're all taking care of our own circle right here and right now. Okay. So much love to all of you. I look forward to seeing you again next week, and I'll probably see you even before that. And go ahead and share this around if it makes sense to you. All right. Blessings.